Hey guys, my name's Gloria and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me in my October celebration videos. So today, not surprisingly for anyone who's seen my other videos, I wanted to put a spotlight on some Irish horror writing, and of course I could have went back a couple of decades, a couple of hundred years, and looked into some more famous stories, but I wanted to put a spotlight on writers who are writing today and publishing today, and I got to read some recently that I really liked. So let's talk about modern and contemporary Irish dark fiction writers. So the first up for me is Sean O'Connor. I have both of his books here. I was able to go to both book launches for this. I think it was at both book launches. So Sean O'Connor, it says at the back that he grew up at the bottom of the Dublin mountains. I hope he lived in a house and didn't just live outside, but his first story, The Mongrel, is a novella. It's about a pregnant woman who has an abusive boyfriend. She's heavily pregnant and they decide to go for a drive over the Wicklow Mountains, and while they're there a storm blows in, they lose communication, their car breaks down and her boyfriend leaves her to try and find help, and not long after this she realizes that she isn't actually alone. So this one it's short, it's dark, and it really takes a couple turns that you're not expecting it to go in, and the main character is just fighting for her life and the life of her kid as well, and it grips you. It's short, but it's gripping. And his second book is Weeping Season. Got a bookmark there. Is Weeping Season. This is a little bit longer. This one I don't want to give too much away because there is another unexpected twist in this. A man wakes up naked, chained to a tree, as you do. There is a young woman at the tree across from him who's also naked. They're both shaved, they have no memories, their heads are shaved, and they each notice that they have a number which has been carved into the back of their neck. They need to figure out how to get away from this tree. They find some other people. They're all kind of in the same boat, all out in the wilderness, no idea why they're there or what's happening, and they have to figure out what the hell is going on. And in doing this, they find some places to stay, and they find speakers in the forest that give them instructions, and if they don't follow these instructions, bad things happen. But this one was definitely, it's quite fast paced, and it's quite odd, and it's got one of those twists that you don't see coming until even the last couple of pages. So that is Sean O'Connor. Sean O'Connor has a new book coming out. In November. I believe it's set in the isolation of Iceland. I can't remember the name of it at this moment, but I will put it up on the screen. So if you're looking for some dark, isolating, chilling stories with some twists and turns, you should definitely pick up some Sean O'Connor. Next up in physical books is Tina Callaghan. Now Tina is the mastermind, I'm going to say, behind the Portable Magic Books subscription box that I get every month. I think it's the only Irish subscription box, certainly the only one that does horror, that I've been able to find. But she is also a published writer. So the first one that I read was Dark Wood, Dark Water. This is a YA book about I'm not sure if it's a river or a canal that seems to be haunted, and it all leads back to this old monastery and the ghost of a monk that is haunting this town and haunting some of the teenagers there, and there's a couple of teenagers who take it upon themselves to try and figure out what the hell is going on and how they can finish it. And if you put a creepy tree on a book, I will buy it. The next one, it was the first book that I reviewed on this booktube channel actually at the very start of the year, and I was so happy to read that first because I really loved it. Again, super cover. It's called Daughter of the Storm. It's about a young girl who lives in America. She grew up in America, but her father was Irish and he came from a tiny little island off the coast of Ireland, and she leaves her mother and goes to this island just to try and figure out what happened to her father, because he died under some mysterious circumstances there, and she wants to figure out what happened and why he died. And she quickly realizes that there are secrets on this island that they don't take kindly to strangers, but she has to figure out everything that's going on that involves her family and that involves the town. And of course she meets a strapping young lad who she spends a lot of time with, but this is really good. It's got a great sort of myth behind it as well. I really liked it. I'll leave the full review up there as well, but if you're looking for some ghostly, paranormal, both of these are sort of YA, but you definitely enjoy them as an adult. I believe Tina is working on a third book now as well, so I'm looking forward to that one. But if you're looking on some paranormal YA stories, you should definitely check out Tina Callaghan. Someone new that I have recently found, because I signed up this year for the Dublin International Writers Conference, I think it was, and it had to be moved online, there was a whole panel on horror, and it was headed by a doctor of horror, someone who has a PhD in horror. She has a great podcast that you should definitely check out. I definitely want to get into that. But there were two Irish writers there as well, and they're all discussing how they write and whatnot. One of them was Chris Rush. Chris Rush is from Wexford, I think. So is Tina Callaghan. I don't know what it is about Irish horror writers being from Wicklow and Wexford. I don't know what's in the water down there, but it's all a bit creepy, I'm not sure. But Chris Rush is a horror writer. He has a few books out. He has a lot, if you follow him on Instagram, you can see he has a lot of cool merchandise and t-shirt designs for his stuff as well. Two of the books that I read of his were Folklore and 13 Dead. Folklore deals with the famous Irish banshee story, but instead of the banshee just telling you nicely, well, she's screaming, but telling you nicely when someone's going to die, this banshee has a lust for blood, and she is out to end a family. So that one was rather interesting. It was a new take on the banshee story. 13 Dead is about a hermit that lives out in the forest and a town that decides they've decided he's done something wrong, so they think it's time to end him, but he doesn't stay ended, and he does come back for revenge in the name of the devil. So that one was quite spooky as well. He does not hold back on killing people, I can tell you that much. There's plenty of murder, there's plenty of deaths in his stories. So if you're looking for something that is definitely punchier, it's grittier, there's grief in his stories as well, a lot of blood and gore. So if you're looking for that kind of thing, definitely check out Chris Rush. Another brand new writer that I just discovered who was in the same talk as Chris Rush is Emma Ennis, and her two short story collections, Red Wine and Words and High Heels and Eulogies, actually blew me away, and I'm very annoyed that I didn't read them previously. I'm annoyed that it took so long for me to read them. They're so well written, they're so crisp, the writing is perfect. I learned a brand new word, darkly. I did not know that was a word, but apparently it is. And her stories range all over the place, from ghosts and spooks and murder and creepy things, and I would absolutely recommend either of those two collections because I read straight through both of them in one go and I really enjoyed all of the stories. I don't think there was a single miss in either of those collections for me, and I definitely think more people should be reading her stuff. So you should check out Emma Ennis, High Heels and Eulogies, and Red Wine and Words. And last but not least, just over the border, or on your screens at the minute, who knows, is Marie McWilliams. So you might already be following her fantastic bookstagram, you might already be subscribed to her fantastic booktube channel, but she has written her own thriller and it is called Broken Mirrors. I just read it and it follows a young woman called Marie who is from Belfast, but she moved to London and got involved with a man who doesn't have your typical day job. It began as her sort of turning a blind eye, and then they got married, and it's a whole case of her coming to terms with what he's doing. He is a criminal, he does bad things, but she realizes that that doesn't entirely turn her away from him, and there's a police officer who's trying to put him away from the crimes that he's committed, and he thinks that Marie is just a sorry damsel who needs to be saved. But is that really the case? You'll have to read to find out. But it is a dark thriller. There's definitely some messed up things in there. It switches from Marie when she's in her 20s and she's just meeting this man and she's getting to know him and getting into a relationship with him, to the present where she has to deal with everything that comes along with being married to a man like this, and deal with this police officer who's trying to get information from her and trying to save her. And normally that can be a difficult thing to do, to switch between the past and the future, the past and the present, but she does it really well and it works out really well for the story. And I think the ending as well was just a perfect ending for this story, and I would definitely recommend it. It's not full on horror or anything, but it is a dark fiction thriller, and if you're into sort of crime books, police procedural kind of things, with a bit of a darker edge, I would definitely recommend checking out Broken Mirrors by Marie McWilliams, and subscribing to her YouTube and following her on Instagram as well. Sure, why not? So Marie's from Belfast, by the way. She's just across the border from us, so from Northern Ireland. But so that is my spotlight on Irish and Northern Irish writers that are working today and publishing today. I hope maybe I have put a spotlight on a couple that you didn't already know about, and you can support them and pick up some of their books today if you want to. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing and commenting down below. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate everyone who's watching these October videos and interacting with them, and everyone who's subscribing. So I shall see you in tomorrow's video.